we got separated at birth because me and this brother got so much in common. And he's a wonderful author, has a wonderful array of books, and he is not done. So here's the interview.
I started writing screenplays in college. And then my wife, she's always been the big bookhead. So she told me, hey, maybe you should start turning these screenplays into novels. So that's what really got me looking at novels and really picking up books. Because before I was always really a big comic book fan. And I used to write short stories and make up comic book characters and stuff like that. So that kind of just naturally transitioned over to writing novels and stuff like that. So when I got my hands on a Zane book or Eric Jerome Dickey, that really opened my eyes up and really got me into it.
See, you kind of have like the same similar beginning, writing screenplays, and then I actually love the comic books, which is actually pretty cool. So from there, how do we get to your first major project?
First major project. Well, by this time it was like 2006, 2007. I was writing this screenplay, not screenplay. I was writing a novel, and I was trying to find any way and any kind of way to get in and on in the book industry. And I ran across some books from Triple Crown publication back in the day, and they were always asking for people to submit manuscripts. So that's what made me say, okay, let me just go ahead and send this manuscript over. And about 4 months later, I got some mail and some notifications and stuff like that. Hey, are you interested in signing with Triple Crown? I was like, hell yeah.
Well, so now here we go. I want you to get into. I love your title, but I'm not the author. I want you to give me the names of your title from beginning to end. We're gonna go into each one of them.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, I actually let me just read it off. I got something here. Okay. All right. My first book, The Pink Palace. I'll just read the novels off. The Pink Palace. Then there was The Pink Palace 2, Money, Power, and Sex. Then The Pink Palace 3, Malicious. So that was that first series of books. From Vixen to Diva, Born Sinners, Used to Temporary Happiness, A Dangerous Woman, If I Was Your Girlfriend, An Atlanta Tale, My Current Situation, An Atlanta Tale, and Returned. So those are the most of the books, yeah.
Before I get into it, he's gonna beat me up for this. But I'm gonna say, man, acts like he doesn't work. He acts like he got all these books, but he just makes it look so easy. it's like he got all these. Like, oh, I just got a few titles. Blah, blah, blah. No. It's like so freaking cool. So, give me a method as far as writing goes. I mean, how do you develop a character or develop a story?
Well, it all starts with an idea, inspiration, whatever it may be. Whether you want to tell a story about, it is a bit, for me personally, it's sometimes a song might spark an idea in my head, and I'll just run with it, or I'll have a conversation with some friends. And we'll get on this topic and we'll just be talking about it back and forth. Like, for example, If I Was Your Girlfriend, it was a conversation amongst friends at work. And we were talking about, is it ever okay for your friend to date your ex? Mm-hmm. And, a lot of people were vehemently, against it. And I was like, well, what if this happened? And then what if this happened? Or what if this happened? So... so I was me, I always play devil's advocate. So that's what the idea came from, and I just started writing it as a book.
All right. So actually, I'm paraphrasing, so correct me if I'm wrong. So you kind of like me. You like creating problems just so you can fix them.
For the most part, that's what most books are. Is a situation. It's a problem.
Pretty much. So let's get into your Pink Palace series first.
Okay. I'm sorry, what was the question?
Pink Palace series.
What was the inspiration or?
Oh, tell me a little bit about the series.
Oh, well, the Pink Palace books, they actually started off as just really straight up like a crime novel. And it was really more, when I started writing it, it was more centered around the male character in the book who was not really giving away any spoilers, but he was an undercover cop. And this club that this drug dealer was operating out of was called the Pink Palace. And I can't remember what the original title of the book was, but it was something totally different. And when I pitched it to Triple Crown, they were more of a street lit genre of books. So the title, I wanted to find a title that kind of fit in with their series of books. So that's where I saw, okay, well, instead of calling it whatever it was called before, the Pink Palace, that's hot. You know, and everybody likes going to a strip club. So yeah.
But you know, one thing I want to get into the whole genre thing. It seems like the books that you write are more mainstream for African Americans. It's very odd. It's not genre based. It's more mainstream, which are very few authors can do that. Because you have varying topics. I'll put it like this in each of your books.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of look at it like this. Like when I go to the movies, I like watching comic book movies. I like watching dramas. I like watching sci-fi. I like watching romantic comedies. It's not one thing that I'm just interested in. So when it comes to my writing, I feel the same way. It's like, yeah, I might want to write a sci-fi book, or I might want to write this romantic comedy, or I might want to write about the hood or the strip club or whatever it may be. So I think that's whatever inspires me. That's what I want to write. I kind of felt like when I first came into the industry, coming in under Triple Crown Publication, and they were known for street lit, urban lit books. That's what I was doing at first. But then as I grew as a writer, and I just had other things I wanted to write about. So that's what I started doing.
Well, as your audience grew, because I know a lot of your readers. I've seen your book as it grows. Was there any pressure to do street lit at first, or were you able to do what you wanted to do?
I don't think I was pressured. I just think that was at the time around 2007, 2008, 2009, 10, 11. That was the thing. That's what was, and part of it is you do have to cater to the audience that's buying your books. So at that time, that's what urban lit, street lit to me was at its best in the early 2000s, throughout the 2000s. So that was the genre that was mostly the focus. And that's what my readers were reading at the time. So I just kind of stayed in that lane until I was able to just say, you know what, let me try something different.
Well, my next question for you on that note is, a lot of authors don't know how to speak to their audience, or even predict how to. You seem to know as you write your books. You seem to know the audience. How do you know what audience you're writing for, or how will they even receive the book even before you write?
I think early on you kind of get a feel for who's buying your books by the feedback you get, whether it's on social media, whether it's on reviews. When you go to book signings and book conventions, you get a sense of what your audience is into. I think that's early on, you kind of establish that baseline. And then as you kind of grow as an author, and hopefully you're growing as an author, and hopefully you want to expand on what you're doing, because I don't want to write the same thing over and over again. So I think once you establish who your audience is and what they know you as a writer, almost doesn't matter what you're writing. They know you as a writer. They know what your brand is and what you bring to the table. So they're more willing to take a chance on a book that they never really a genre they never really mess with just because it's you. I wrote a book a couple years ago called The Dangerous Woman, and it's a book about assassins. It's more like a Jason Bourne type of book.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, that's really different from urban street lit. But and the thing I love most about the reaction I get from that book is that people will say, I don't really normally read this type of book, but once I started reading it, I couldn't stop. It was so good. I mean, I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but I'm just saying.
You can, though. That's right.
But once they know who you are as a writer, your readers are more willing to trust what you put out there.
See, that's pretty cool. Now, I want to get into my favorite book, but first, I want you to tell me your audience's favorite book.
Oh, man, that. Wow, that is a hard question because it's always the book you're working on at the time. It's always your new favorite book.
Uh-oh.
I would say, man, A Dangerous Woman is one of my personal favorite books because it went so different. It was such a different book from anything I've written before. And then My Current Situation.
You just said fine. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's my most recent book, and I really enjoy it because of the dynamics between the characters and the setting, and it speaks to me on a real world level.
So tell me a little bit about how did the idea for My Current Situation come up?
Okay, that's easy. It was based on another book I did a couple years ago called Used to Temporary Happiness, where I wrote about a group of friends that lived in Cleveland, and I had a co-writer on that book, and we wrote that story, and I loved the interaction between those characters. But the story idea for Used to Temporary Happiness was based on my co-authors, more of their experience. So I said, I wanted to do something like that again. So it's kind of like I kind of took a lot of inspiration from Used to Temporary Happiness, and I made My Current Situation based on a bunch of college friends who've been together for a few years, and then they started going through different changes in life.
Awesome. Yeah, I love it. So now, because I'm going to ask you, you have a lot of fans. How do they receive your work?
I have a lot of fans?
Yes, you have a lot of readers. Some of the reviews I'm going through.
Well, thank you. I think how do they receive my work?
I don't tell people this, but I see a lot more good than I don't see a lot of bad reviews from you. I see all good. If there's any, it's only one that I may have missed or so, but they're all good. I know what I like, so there you go.
Yeah, I'm really thankful because you never know how readers are going to react to your book. All you can do is really just write what you feel like is true to you, and put your best foot forward. Make sure you do everything you're supposed to do as a writer. Get your editor, and just try to present a book that you feel like your readers and yourself is proud of, and thankfully I haven't had too much pushback, so that's good.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So how many more books you got in you?
Wow. How many more? As long as
the reason I asked that question because if you stop anytime soon, you're gonna get a lot of blowback. So make sure you know how to answer this question.
Yeah. Well, I currently have at least right now 3 books that's kind of like in the chamber. That's more or less completed. That are due to come out in the next couple years. But just in general, I mean, as long as I have inspiration and I have a good idea, and because I enjoy telling stories, I really enjoy the craft of writing and interacting with my readers after they read the book, and I really enjoy it. So I don't see myself stopping anytime soon, hopefully.
Give me your best fan story.
My best fan story?
Yeah. Interaction with a fan or reader.
Ah, man, I got to think about that.
The reason I asked that because I actually got in an interview that someone did with me about my books. They like totally spaced me out. Like, oh wow, I've had a couple of fan reactions, but I mean I have a lot of them. But it's like my favorite one.
Yeah. I don't know. I never really thought about it like that, but I had one fan a few years ago, back in the Pink Palace days. She told me that she couldn't. She loved reading the Pink Palace book, and she was up. I think she was in New York, and she, the covers for the Pink Palace books are kind of risque. So she had, I think what she said, she took a bunch of Post-it notes and she put it on the cover of the book. So while she's sitting on the train, people won't look at her funny because of what she's reading.
Oh wow!
I thought that was hilarious to me.
Oh wow! So, like you say, when you're not writing, you like watching movies, reading comics. What all else do you like?
Oh, I'm a big, me. I'm a big movie fan. I love, watching movies, particular, anything Marvel. I grew up reading Marvel comic books, so Marvel Cinematic Universe was just my heaven. That was just made for me.
Are you like me? Are you waiting on that phone call? Hey, we need some writers. Oh, okay, well. Interview over, bye.
Yeah, exactly. We're done.
We're done. That's it. Marvel's calling. So that's pretty cool. So go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say, watching movies, reading comic books. I'm a big hip hop music fan, so that takes up a lot of my time too. So yeah.
So wow. So, damn, it's like I'm talking to myself. Damn. No wonder we so cool on Facebook. Yeah. So, my next question is, how can more people get to know you? How can they buy your books? Where can they find you? How can we contact you?
Well, as you know, I'm big on social media. Facebook, Marlon McCaulsky. Twitter, Instagram, also Marlon McCaulsky. My website, where you can see all my work, what I'm doing, what's coming out, what's out, marlonmccalsky.com. You can find my books, of course, on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, wherever books are sold. You can usually track me down that way. But if you want to interact with me, of course, social media is probably the best way to get in contact with me and to talk to me.
Cool. Well, that's all pretty cool. Do you have a website or anything? Or?
Yeah, marlonmccalsky.com.
Awesome. So, this is the part of the show where I give you the final word, your shout out, your writer's advice, whatever you want to do, the floor is yours.
Oh, okay. Well, the floor is mine. Well then, vote! No, I feel like as far as what we do here is as far as being writers, I always like to tell people who are getting into the industry, if you love writing, get into it because you love it, because you love doing what you do. If you're expecting to make a lot of money doing this, then you probably want to change gears, because that doesn't happen right away. I mean, not to say it doesn't happen, but if you don't have a love or passion for writing, then it's probably not the genre for you to be in. And I would just say, write what's true to you. Don't try to fall into what's trendy. And a lot of times that's a gimmick, because if you're writing something just because it's trendy, just because that's what you think that's what's in, that's what readers are buying. It will work for a while, but then after a minute, they'll kind of come to the conclusion that, man, you're not really good at this. So if you're always I always say nobody can do you better than you. So write what's true to you. Write what you're passionate about. Write what inspires you, what you enjoy. I feel like once you're doing that, you can hardly go wrong.
Okay. I want to say one more thing before we sign off. If you guys ever wanted to get to know a brother who you can actually talk to, have a real debate, not the debates where you're angry and you're walking away. I mean, a real debate about anything you post, movies, politics, or whatever. Follow this thread on Facebook. I'm serious. Like I say, we've been friends on here for years. We've probably been going back and forth on a lot of stuff. But like I say, I feel bad that I'm just not having you on. This is not going to be your last appearance.
Oh, man, I appreciate it, man. I feel like it's always great. I mean, it's always great to have an opinion, and there's nothing wrong with somebody having the opposite opinion of you. You know, sometimes you learn more by somebody else's different opinion. You know, and you get to say, oh, well, that's how you see this, and this is how I see it. And so I can understand why you feel this way about whatever it may be. Right. And I think you don't have to be disrespectful you don't have to be disagreeable to have two sides of a conversation.
Right. That's why I kind of like our debates on Facebook, because I don't feel like I'm being disrespectful or I'm disrespecting you.
Right. So, it's never a personal. It should never be a personal attack on the person just because they feel a certain way about whatever. It's Facebook. I mean, come on.
Exactly.
It's not that serious. You know?
What did I tell you? I mean, we talked about everything, and still, I just feel as if I've had a lot of great interviews. In fact, the majority, in fact, 99% of all of my Off the Corner interviews were awesome. But this is the first time I ever felt like I'm looking in a mirror and talking to my bearded self. But that's how Marlon McCaulsky makes you feel. So when you get a chance, log on to marlonmccalsky.com, friend them on Facebook, wherever you find them, friend them Twitter, Instagram, he's everywhere. So, but don't take my word for it. See for yourself. When we come back, we're going to have HD's 2 cents.
You know, even after 20 years, readers are still captivated with How to Lose a Black Woman. Now, in its second printing, follow the story of Bruce Williams. Shall I say, mild-mannered school teacher in search of love? Using social media, prayer, and a lot of trial and error, Bruce fights to learn what a true relationship is all about. Filled with original poetry by H.D. Campbell, it's a lesson from one young man's point of view. Buy How to Lose a Black Woman on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Smashwords, in your favorite bookstore, and even on his website at www.hdcampbell3.com. And as always, let your writing fuel your spirit. Do you need editing and formatting services, promotion, or do you need a press kit? Let H.D. Campbell Productions put together a package to suit your needs. Let us handle your promotion, editing, press kits, photography service, and a lot more. We even do custom videos and videography. To learn more, log on to www.hdcampbell3.com or email us at hdcampbell3@msn.